You're spending too much money chasing new leads when your biggest source of wealth is already sitting in your phone or your CRM. If your database feels like a graveyard, this episode is your shovel. We're breaking down how to segment your contacts, the exact script for asking for a referral without sounding needy, and the fastest way to turn your service providers into a predictable referral network. Stop ignoring your gold mine. Let's dig in. All right, team, let's start with the first question.
I have 500 contacts, but my CRM feels like a graveyard. What's the fastest way to segment this database right now so I know who to call and stop wasting my time on dead leads?
Well, first and foremost, congratulations on having 500 people into your CRM. And here's kind of the overall thesis that I have when it comes to this specific pillar, which is pillar number 2 in the JazzTac R5 pillar sales method. When it comes to CRM and nurturing, what you're looking for is getting a return of minimum when your numbers are less than 1,000 names. So based on this question at 500 people, you're looking for a minimum return on your investment of 10%. What does that mean? You're looking for 50 deals out of your 500 people in your CRM. Now, I need you to understand this. I am not expecting you to get those 50 deals from specifically from the people in your database, meaning not 50 people are going to do deals with you. What you're looking for is a combination of some people doing deals with you, but more importantly, or just as importantly for sure, them introducing you to more people. That's why it's a CRM and nurturing pillar. This pillar, for me, has been the most fundamental not in my current 2 businesses in terms of the real estate and the coaching, but this is what I've used. I just didn't call it a CRM back when I was selling shoes as a 15-year-old. But see, what happened is that when I started selling shoes at 15, then I went into banking. And then I started to sell cars and then real estate and coaching. What I did is I always took the people that I was connected with, not necessarily all the people that I did transactions with, because especially in the banking industry, like because of privacy, I wasn't able to take people's names. But when I started selling cars, I called all the guys and gals that I worked with in selling shoes and at banking. And then in real estate, I just called it that one there. I actually made sure I called everyone that I sold cars to. What did that do? Number one, it gave me momentum because I started off in each of those industries in that part of my career, including coaching business now, which all I did there was call all the people that I did real estate deals with, because at the start I was only coaching real estate agents. At the momentum part that I'm speaking about, what it did is that right at the start, the first couple of months, I was already doing deals. That helped me build my confidence through the experience, and then I was in more conversations, which led to more deals over and over again. And so, look, there is a myriad of ways for you to segment your database, but here's kind of the most basic way to do it, okay? Segment your database into 4 buckets: past clients, hot prospects. And when I say prospects, hot prospects, I mean prospects that are either hot or cold, people that have come into your world off some type of ad, or maybe you were doing some type of open house or you were at an event. So I call that the prospects bucket. Number 3 is sphere of influence. That's everyone, your uncle, your cousin, the person that you went to high school with. And then 4th is service providers, anybody else who is also looking for business, because then you can give business back and forth to each other. Now, out of the 4, what do I like the most? And it's probably the one that's the hardest for most people, because you don't want to reach out and look needy to your friends and the person that you went to high school with or your aunt or uncle, but it is the sphere of influence. Why? Because they already know you. The sphere of influence is the easiest win. They already know you and like you. What's the next question, team?
Jazz, you always say to ask for referrals, but when I do, I get nothing. What's the specific script or timing for asking without sounding needy or desperate for business?
Yeah, look, asking too early or too often kind of gives you that commission breath, I call it, right? Because look, at the end of the day, it's not the client's job to feed you leads and give you business. It's your job to make sure that you service them well. And then if you service people well, they're more than happy to tell other people about the experience they had, right? But you don't want to ask every single time. But what I've always liked to do is anytime a client says, wow, like, thank you for doing X. Thank you for understanding. And it comes from a myriad of ways, right? Like, thank you for putting that deal together. And sometimes it's right at when the deal gets done, and sometimes it's through the process. And I'm going to kind of just subtly mention, well, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, I really appreciate you noticing. Just so you know, and here's kind of a script that you can use. Just so you know, if there's anyone that you introduce me to, I am more than happy to make sure that they get this same type of service. One other thing to note here. It's okay to use the jargon, the industry kind of lingo, i.e. the word referrals. I highly recommend that you don't use that word with people you're speaking to. Even if you put it in an email signature, or some of you have it on your business cards, right? The highest compliment you can give me is the referrals that you trust me with. The reason I say don't use the word referrals is because it's such a business term, and there's a lot of weight to it, right? From the prospect's perspective or your past client's perspective, meaning that when you start to say referral, they tend to, not all the time, they tend to go into their minds like, ooh, if I tell Jazz, if I introduce Jazz or refer Jazz, to Alex or to Wei or Abo, and what if the person that I introduce and refer Jazz to, they don't end up doing business with him? Or what if Jazz screws up? You know what? I'm just going to stay away from it, right? We as humans love the path of least resistance. We have tons of examples of that, right? We don't always take action. We don't always do the hard stuff, right? And so that being the path of least resistance, being, I'm not going to refer you. As you can tell, I've said the word that I like to use a lot more, which is introduce. So what I say to people is that if there's anyone like that, if you like this service, if they said, wow to something, if there's anyone that ever needs any type of advice, I just want you to know that if you introduce me, I'll make sure I keep that the same type of service. I'll put the white gloves on. What I also like to do, any high ticket relationship driven sales industry that you're in, there's a point in time when the deal gets done. Right? Mortgage broker, you got the mortgage for them. The closing happened on the property. Real estate agents, obviously, there's a closing date. You're in insurance. The policy's written up. Everything is done. It's signed, sealed, and delivered. I don't know when you're going to get paid, but the deal is done. That is when I like to tell people, right? That's the spot. This is not when you have commission, but this is when they're the most excited too. They're listening of you is there, right? The question was based around not getting referrals, or it just kind of falls on deaf ears, so to speak. That's when I say, were you happy with the service? Did everything go the way you want? We're not done yet. There's still things, and I'm still going to be here. And you're 99% of the time going to get, yeah, it was great. Thank you so much. Or it was good. Even if they say it was good, I really appreciate that. If you ever hear of anyone that needs any general advice, it doesn't mean that they need to do this service with me. They don't need to do the insurance policy with me. They don't need to buy a house with me. But even if they just want advice, I would love for you to introduce me. I always make a joke of it as well at that time, where I say, our relationship's not over, but we're not dating anymore. I need you, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, to set me up on some blind dates now. And I usually get a chuckle, and those things are important. As corny as that may sound, it gets a chuckle, and the reason I say it's important is because then they remember it, right? It's another, we remember not really what is said to us as much as what we experience, right? And so, look, the ask must be based on something that they'll like to do, not that they feel like they have to do it, right? And just saying something as simple as, I'm hoping that you can set me up on some blind dates. Or even if someone needs advice, just let them know about me, is something that you will start to see. People will start to introduce you more. That doesn't mean that it's always going to work out to be a deal. And here's a quick side note as well. Anytime you get an introduction, even if it doesn't turn out to be a deal, make sure that you reward the action, okay? Not the result. Meaning if Joe Blow, your client, introduces you to Kathy, Kathy never does business with you, that's not Joe Blow's fault. So call Joe Blow. If he doesn't pick up, send him a text message, but call him. Say, hey, Joe, just wanted to thank you for introducing me to Kathy. I'll keep you posted if something happens, but I just want you to know if nothing does happen, that's not on you. Like, that's literally what I say. It's not on you. Why? Because if it doesn't work out, you don't want Joe Blow to think that, oh, I wasted Jazz's time. You want to, positive reinforcement since we were kids, right? Great job, Johnny. Great job. Like, we love that stuff. We still do as adults. You want to make sure that you reward the action and not the result. What's next, team?
My email newsletters get zero engagement. How do I effectively integrate my content and my CRM so my educational videos/emails actually get opened and drive people back into my sales funnel?
Yeah, that's important because you want to make sure that your emails are being engaged with, right? They're being not only opened, 99% of any type of CRM that you're using to send out emails will give you certain metrics, and I'll touch on what metrics you want to watch for. But you want to make sure that they're getting opened and there's certain clicks that are happening to external links, i.e. one of the best strategies till this day that I've been using since probably for about 15, 16, 17 years with my CRMs is making sure that I'm sending people, back then 15, 16 years ago, it was just more to like blogs or to the website where there was longer form content that an email necessarily couldn't handle. You can't also, have a video play in email. You need to send it to an external site. That being nowadays YouTube is a great place, or you can send them to your social medias for the short form, content, like something, 90 seconds or less. I like to use kind of the guerrilla marketing approach. And what I mean by that is in my emails, I make sure that I have different types of content in terms of the medium of the content: videos, images, and the written word. Why? Because I don't know how and what type of medium, video, the written word, or images, is going to resonate with people. Everyone's a little different, right? Like me personally, I'm not a big video guy as much as an audio. Like I don't read books anymore. I listen to books. I probably don't even, I might have YouTube on, but it's just the audio. But that's me. Right? A lot of people love reading long form. They like reading books, right? Some people are just all video. Like, forget this podcast stuff. Forget this, don't make me read. I just want to see it on video. And I don't mind watching a 3-hour video, or I don't mind, I need it to be 60 seconds. So you want to make sure that your email newsletter to get more engagement isn't just like a one-trick pony. You're not just doing long-form text, because that might work for some, but you might be missing out on a lot, right? And so the best way to do it, now talking about the metrics, is having external links in your email that you can track. So you want to track what is being clicked, because if you'll start to see a pattern after, 1 or 2 emails is not enough in terms of a sample size. After 10, 15 emails that you sent, you can see a pattern. Well, if I put the image at the top, it usually gets more clicks. If I put a video link at the bottom, and vice versa, right? You got to watch that for yourself. Everyone's CRM numbers are going to be different, and what works well for me might not work well for you, because my database might be just used to a certain thing. Also understand that you want to make sure that you switch it up, right? Because it does get stagnant. I've been sending out emails for 21 years now. Not in my I haven't done emails my whole career in sales, but ever since real estate 21 years ago, we started sending out emails. And another added on a feature that you can add into your emails is invites. You could do standalone invite emails. We also put our next webinar or our next in-person event at the bottom of the emails. You want to make sure you start to hear things like, hey, I saw that, I saw you on YouTube. Now, they might not have been searching YouTube. They might have actually went to your YouTube video because you sent it out in an email. If you're part of my coaching company and getting emails from Jazz Takar Coaching right now, you've probably noticed that every single email, I do all three things. And if you're not getting my email, make sure you send us some type of bat signal, smoke signal to let us know that you want to get on our email newsletter drip. What's next, team?
I have hundreds of old cold leads that went dark. Is it worth putting effort into reviving them, or should I focus only on new leads? What's the most time-efficient way to try and wake up the dead?
Well, I like, trying to wake up the dead here. But to answer the first part of the question, yes. Like, exclamation mark, all like, yes, you want to spend the time to try to revive these leads. Now, what you first want to have is the mindset of understanding that if it's the longer the period of time has gone that they haven't been engaged with either answering your call, coming to your events, opening your emails, the harder it's going to be. Now, with that said, though, here's the beautiful thing that I do right around my birthday, December 9th. Side note, wink, wink, Don Julio Tequila. Just saying. Focus what we do on the 9th of December, right around that time period. Just pick that day randomly, is that we focus on cleaning our whole CRM list so we have more clarity going into the new year, right? So we actually know our numbers. This is not about quantity. It's about quality of leads, right? However, for you to do that, you're going to need to send some emails, see if people are engaging. But I think the best way to do that, it might not be, the most efficient. Because if you have, thousands of leads that you need to get to, it might not be the efficient, but it is going to be the most effective. And there's a difference between the two, is reaching out and calling people and just blatantly asking them, are you getting our emails? No, I'm not. Why are you calling me? They might say, well, I'm giving you a call because we don't want to spam people. At some point, you came into our world inquiring about insurance policies, inquiring about high-end cars, inquiring about mortgages or real estate. You might not be interested right now, and that's not why I'm calling the person I'm speaking to. I just want to know if you want to continue to get educational-based emails. Now, you got to make sure that you also send educational-based emails. It's not just always, sales that you're trying to get from these emails. Because if you're doing educational-based emails, you have a high probability, not guaranteed, a high probability of the person saying, yeah, like I would still be interested. Well, what are these emails about? Well, we're educating people on X, Y, and Z. And we put out events and they're webinars, they're in person, they're free, there's no cost. Plus we do some content on YouTube and social media. If you find it valuable, there's no cost for it. Did you still want to continue? No, I never want to hear from you again. Great, press X, which is delete. Get rid of them. That's fine. That's okay. You're not going to waste any more time in the future, but making sure that you reach out to them is non-negotiable. It doesn't matter if it's been 5 years. You might as well call them. The worst thing that's going to happen is that they don't pick up your phone. Next thing being they do pick up the phone and say, don't ever call me again. That's okay. At least you're not like an air duct cleaner. We all get calls from them people, right? We don't have to sound like we're always spamming people. Look, most of the time, the leads are not dead. They haven't just been nurtured. That's all it is. And so making sure that you reach out to them, especially if you have an event coming up. I find that being the easiest. We reach out to people every single day. Now, majority of our people have been nurtured over the last 21 years, so they know who we are, but we come across people all the time. My list is 13,800 people or something like that now. There's going to be hundreds of them that we never got a hold of. And so when we do, they're like, who the hell are you? We explain it to them. Here's why I think an event is so important, right? Or a webinar, in-person or webinar, is because at least you can invite them to that. And when you say it's absolutely free and it's educational, people start to see you a little different. You're not just calling to try to get a sale. You're inviting them to educate them. Is it going to work all the time? No. Do you have a higher probability? Yes. What's the last question, team?
You mentioned service providers as a key segment. How am I supposed to get business from another salesperson, like a plumber, CPA, or financial advisor, without it feeling transactional?
This is one of my favorite types of leads, and really I should say my favorite type of funnel, because it's so untapped and it's kind of easy, really. Why? Because I know a plumber, a CPA, a mortgage broker, me as a real estate agent, insurance brokers, financial advisors. They all want business too, right? So I know what they want. I don't need to think about what they want. Are you going to come across a plumber, an electrician, or a financial advisor who says, "Look, I can't handle any more business"? Yeah, sure. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're busy, and that's fantastic. But 99% of people in business are always okay to take on more business. Now, this is why it's easy, because you already know what they want. There's no guessing. And now all you got to do is reverse engineer it. So if you're a mortgage broker and you're at a party and someone talks about, "Oh my God, what's going on with the interest rates?" You could be on the other end of the banquet hall and you hear interest rates, your ears kind of perk up. And like, interest rates, that's kind of like, my buzzword. What I want you to focus on now, and this is why it's very easy, and it is significantly added hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to our top line revenue. When someone says, "I have a leaky toilet," I want your ears to perk up. Not because you're the guy who's going to fix the leaky toilet, but you know the guy that can fix the leaky toilet. If you have a list of service providers, it's just a fancy word, or maybe a non-fancy word, for business partners. People that you do business with each other, right? And don't just do the surface stuff. Like, meaning, if you're a real estate agent, don't just do I got a real estate lawyer and I have a mortgage broker and an insurance broker, right? That's surface. I'm talking about make sure that you almost like a car salesman in every single manufacturer. Somebody who works at Acura, at Lexus, at Toyota, at Honda, at Nissan, at GM, like all of them. Why? Because if someone says, "I'm looking into a Ford F-150, you're going to say, "I know a guy at the Ford dealership." You want to be the one who's the cool kid, like in high school, right? We all knew the cool kid in high school. It's the one who always threw the house parties. This is the same thought process, now taking it into adulthood in business. You want to be the adult that just has the network. The kids call it, "I got the plug." You want to be the one that can be the connector. And when you're calling out to the plumber and the electrician, you're not calling and saying, "Hey, I'm a real estate agent or a mortgage broker. Do you got any business for me?" Like, if you have anybody who needs any advice, let me know. That's not the time you use that. You want to say, "Hey, are you looking for new business?" Yes, awesome. I built out a list of service providers that I introduce my clients to, and I just want to make sure that you're okay to be on the list. Cool. What's your email? plumbing@plumbing.com. Fantastic. I'm going to send you out emails. Make sure that you get that. There's also, we do educational events and webinars around my specific industry. I would love for you to attend. Side note, the people that are plumbers and electricians, they're people, and they probably need your service at some point. Yes, they might need an insurance policy. They might need to buy a car. They might need some real estate, or like, you get where this is going, right? They might need to do business with you in the future. Hence why you want to have them come to your events. But now back into role play with this plumber. I also put on events where I want you to talk about how to fix your own leaky toilet. Now, you're a financial advisor. You're like, "What the hell is Jazz talking about? Why would I have a plumber at the event?" Well, don't your clients have toilets? Isn't that just a little different? Rather than, like, there's validity to sending out emails and doing events about your specific industry, but there's a lot of value, and it's different. That's what bringing value means, by the way. Like, educating people, okay, with other parts of what happens in their life that has nothing to do with you. That's how they remember you. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be like, you as a financial advisor, you teach people how to fix their own toilets with a plumber is going to be, millions of dollars. But here's the cool thing. You tell the plumber, "I'm going to invite all my people." Cool. You make sure you invite all your people. Anybody in your phone. Let's teach them how to do this. Okay? And then what happens is his people see you, your people see him. And then the next event you do as a financial advisor, where you talk about the 3 things that you need to do before you invest into a mutual fund, you call the plumber and say, plumber, invite your people. This is how you collaborate. This is how 1 + 1 = 3. It's called synergy. And I have made not hundreds of thousands of dollars now. That's like a year, millions of dollars, just because I partner up with other industries because I know they know people. The average person, not a person in business, knows about 200. People in business, on the average, on the low end, they know 500, 600, 700 people. On the low end, and then obviously there's thousands, right? And that's how you get your events packed up more. Here's another type of event where you, as the cool kid in high school, put on the party. And I'm not talking about a black tie affair. I'm talking about something at your office, no education, just some wine, some cheese. Do it on a Saturday, coffee and donuts. We invite the plumber, the electrician, the contractor, the real estate agent, the mortgage broker, and you, as the financial advisor, using the same example, introduce everyone to each other. Because what are they going to do? Send business to each other. And guess who they're going to remember where they met? Oh, right. Joe, the financial advisor's event. And you do that twice a year. I'm not saying you got to do that monthly. There's a couple of huge organizations, okay, that have been around for, I'm going to say since the early 70s, maybe even longer. But I know for sure in the 70s, I had the original founder of BNI, Business Network International, the founder, I forget, his name eludes me right now. I had him on my podcast a few years back. Okay. That's what they do. They just all send each other business. Now, that's a very formal organization, and there's like expectations, and I'm not saying if that's good or bad, but just on a very basic level, every 6 months at your office on a Saturday morning or a Thursday evening, you get a bunch of service providers together and you guys just meet each other. That's it. Yes, you don't maybe send it out to 2 plumbers. Or if you do, like there's a boundary geographically speaking, like don't get into the minutia of it. And because I know you're there, like, should I have 2 electrician jazz? And like, don't worry about that. Let's just start with 1 each. Right? Because it's the coolest thing when you see them send business to each other. Every profitable salesperson knows that the transaction is just the beginning. The real money is made in the systematized follow-up. If you're missing the 80% of business that comes from a nurture database, you're missing my pillar 2. This is non-negotiable for building long-term momentum. Find out if your CRM is a graveyard or a gold mine by getting the free 5-pillar scorecard now at ftguacademy.com/scorecard.